what exactly is psychology? Is it a science? Is it art? Or is it both?
Psychology is not about reading someone's mind. Psychology is actually about understanding and reading behavior. Forensic psychology means we understand the criminal's mind. Not only that, we understand the victim's mind, that why is somebody a victim. ना इसमें sportsman spirit बहुत अच्छी है, और वो कैसे आई? It comes with a lot of failure, acceptance of failure, and then trusting yourself again. That's sports psychology.
And you have served 5 years in military as psychologist.
Yes. Because military jobs are very difficult. As easy and fascinating it sounds like, it is not, trust me. When a soldier serving the nation, it's not only him but also the family. I have had a great experience. So I served in the Army and the Air Force for 5 years. Okay. Yeah.
So what exactly in real world clinical psychology means? Everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. This is Sanika Mate, your friend, your mentor and your guide, welcoming all of you to yet another interesting podcast, like always. So if you're new to our YouTube channel, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because there is some interesting content coming your way. Now, what are we talking today? Okay, we are talking about, or this particular series, which you will be watching now, will be about dissecting each and every stream for undergraduate studies. I want to make sure, or rather we as a YouTube channel wants to make sure that you as a parent or as a student have that information where you make an informed decision. Where you want to go, you should know that. And we just want to give you a little helping hand. So today we would be talking about the most growing undergraduate stream, which is psychology. Okay. And today we would be talking about, rather not today, you would see a long episodes coming. We will try to make it as small as possible for you to absorb it better. Okay. But this is something which is so much in detail about psychology, starting from why you should pursue psychology, what are the majors in psychology, what are the career opportunities, what as an undergraduate student you should be looking at. It is about everything, about RCI, about higher education, about everything. Okay, so you definitely don't want to miss it. And to top it all, icing on the cake, I have someone who is definitely a subject matter expert here who would be helping you to understand psychology with a perspective which I don't think you must have had or must have heard, the creative perspective of psychology, but with the lens of science. Okay, so I have right now with me Dr. Ruttaja Karkhanis More, who is associated with NMIMS University with the Jyoti Dalal School of Liberal Arts. Okay, now who is she? Right, she is a PhD in health psychology and specializes in clinical psychology, forensic psychology, military psychology, parapsychology, and education. She has also worked 5 years as a military psychologist. Also, her research is very much into youth, about cyber psychology, about education, about forensic psychology. And I'm sure her perspective will provide you with a magnifying glass to look at the career what you're opting for or choosing for yourself, which is psychology. So please welcome with me Dr. More. Thank you so much for doing this with us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
I'm very excited for this.
Thank you.
The agenda of the podcast and the series which we have started today, we would want to make sure that students and parents who want even the slightest information about psychology, they get it, because information is the only way which will help them take an informed decision. Okay, so let's start, because I have a lot of questions for you.
Yes.
All right, so I want to first understand, psychology truly has become one of the most fastest growing undergraduate streams. Okay, why do you think so many students are actually moving towards the psychology route?
Ma'am, so actually what has happened now, post-COVID, or while the COVID was there, during the pandemic, people got a good idea about mental health because they were home, they didn't understand what to do. And truly speaking, during that time, our mental health was a big thing. We were in trouble. Physically, people were suffering, people were at the hospitals and all. That was one part of it. But the ones who were at home and not doing anything, of course, initial few days were like, sounded like a mini vacation for them. But then later they started understanding more. So, what I've seen in India specifically, people have understood the importance of mental health during that time. And then a lot of people started to know more about mental health. And luckily, before 2020 and after 2020, there have been some survey studies where what is people's idea about mental health, how they perceive mental health as, how they take mental health into their day-to-day life. That survey actually shows that after COVID, post-COVID, people have started taking their mental health very seriously, and that's why now the students, now we have known that there are very less psychologists, very less psychiatrists in India. That's why now students are understanding the importance of mental health and they are moving towards, getting themselves trained, educated in the field of psychology so that they can be psychologists, they can be mental health professionals, they can be psychiatrists, clinicians, many such disciplines which are around the field of mental health. Even at good companies now, people have realized that what is work life balance, and to get work life balance we need to have a professional who can help the employees or the management or the people surrounded to understand all these things. And that's why the importance of psychology and mental health is coming in the zone of India, or you can say in our nation.
Which is definitely there, because even the schools have now,
Yes.
counselors there making sure that the kids' mental health is ideally being looked at.
Yes.
But tell me something, a lot of people have this misconception. I don't know whether it is a misconception or how we look at it. But if someone is saying that psychology mean about reading people's mind, how would you respond to that? Because I am very much aware that it is a little beyond that.
Big no. If someone says that, it's wrong. Psychology is not about reading someone's mind. Psychology is actually about understanding and reading behavior. In the field of psychology, the thing that we need to understand is there is no theory like 2 plus 2. Everyone is different. Right now, what you are experiencing, right now, what I am experiencing is a complete different ideology. The anxiety level that you have or the anxiety level that I have will be completely different. So there is nothing ki, if we both are born in the same year, on the same day, then we are going to be the same. It's not like that. So each and every individual is different. And their psychology is different, their mental health is different, their way of understanding any stress or coping mechanisms will be different. So please just understand this thing. Psychology is not about reading mind.
You said something, about anxiety, and when we are talking about, I think that this particular term that psychology is all about reading people's mind is coming from ignorance.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember when I was a kid, okay, coming from the Maharashtrian background, I remember people or our mothers telling, when they are worried about something, I remember people telling kasatari hota hai. Okay, this kasatari hota hai, or in just to kind of give a translation that something is happening, something kuch to ho raha hai, but they can't define the feeling. Yeah. Okay, and I think thanks to psychology and the word anxiety, that this is, now you know that what does that mean, kasatari hota hai, or because kuch to ho raha hai ka matlab kya hai, ki that is actually an anxiety thing. Okay, but one thing which I also wanted to kind of check with you, okay, that what inspired you to pursue psychology? Because if you're talking about even like 10-20 years back, it wasn't really a renowned field back then. So what was your inspiration or motivation?
Uh, If I tell you very honestly, I never wanted to take psychology. Psychology was not there anywhere around me. What something that I actually wanted to do was economics. I topped in economics, and I come from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. And during that time, again going back like 15-20 years, at that time there were no, like there were very less colleges offering economics.
Correct.
And unfortunately I couldn't clear that. And but then again, we can't waste a year. You have to kind of, you can't just be home, because parents are like, nahi nahi, ऐसा अपना साल थोड़ी बर्बाद करोगे आप, आपको तो करना पड़ेगा. So then I asked my faculty, my teacher back then, and she said, why don't you go for psychology? You have gained good marks in psychology. Not that you are very bad, but there is a college, and this so-and-so college is offering psychology. It's a good college. Try to take psychology, and if you feel that if you're not able to do it, then next year you can change your discipline. That was the option back then. So I said, okay, fine, my purpose is solved. I am not even wasting my year. And at the same time, I have an option of changing the field if I don't like. But I'll tell you what, kaise वैसे, पहले तो initially, like first 10 days, I used to cry, अरे yeah, what is this, I don't want to study, this is so boring and all. But I got a very good teacher. Her name is Sharon Reiter. I really, I respect her so much. She used to teach us so well. She actually developed my interest. And when that 1 year was done, I decided that no, I don't want to go ahead with economics, I'll go ahead with psychology. So I got a great teacher. And how it helped me, because not only I understood the subject, but that subject, if you actually study psychology well with your heart and with your mind, you'll understand yourself much better. You will deal with any situation in a very, very practical and, in a very amicable way. So it takes time, to reach to that level, it takes years and years, a lot of practice and understanding the subject well. But it really helped me. And then there was no looking back. I thought that I'll go ahead with psychology. Then I did my master's. I have M.Psych in clinical forensic psychology. I got a good college then as well for my master's university. And then I did my PhD. I started practicing. I started teaching. And this is how I landed here at NMIMS. And now...
And you have served 5 years in military as psychologist as well.
I was a military psychologist counselor over there. I used to take care of families, because military jobs are very difficult. As easy and fascinating it sounds like, it is not, trust me. When a soldier serving the nation, it's not only him but also the family. They have postings. Every 2 years they get posted at some place. Sometimes they have field postings, sometimes they have ward posting. So, peace postings. So, it's very difficult for the families to manage. Like right now you are at a place, you just got settled down, you have made friends, and now you are going to shift to some other city. It's a challenging thing, constantly you are changing cities, constantly you are changing friends, you are packing, unpacking. Sometimes I've met families where they have just moved and they have their boxes as it is, and just 2 saal ho gaya, they moved to another city. So it actually takes a lot of toll on women, on mothers, on wives who are with their husbands, and they are also getting posted with them. For the kids to just, like now you're getting adjusted, you have made some good friends. There's a beautiful teenage phase, so you met someone and, you're friends with that person, and now, you'll now shift to another city. All this is mental health, so I used to deal with all those things, and I have had a great experience, but I had to move to Bombay. So I served in the Army and the Air Force for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting part is, when we talk about psychology, I want to start with the basic with you. Okay. I'm sure from you, I would me and my students and the audience, parents and students, would get a perspective of what exactly psychology is all about. And let me start with my first question, exactly the same.
Yeah.
What exactly is psychology? Is it a science? Is it art? Or is it both?
Psychology is actually everywhere. I'll explain how. We met, okay. Before me coming here, आते आते मेरे को बहुत ट्रैफिक लगा.
True.
मैं बिल्डिंग ढूंढ नहीं पाई. I took a U-turn and I'm like, oh, I have to reach her at 3. Okay. This is like, I think I called you around 3:15 or something. And where am I? You know, there's so much of traffic. There's anxiety. There is stress. Stress because, how is this going to be like? How the podcast is going to be like? So that's psychology. You are doing your work. You have things ki, these are my targets. मेरे को next 10 days में ये करना है. मेरे को ये editing करना है. ऐसे करना है. That's constantly there. So at workplace, there is stress. There are many multiple emotions that you deal with. You're a mother. You go home. You have your kids, So to deal with them, they dealing with you, dealing with your partner, your spouse, with your families, your in-laws, it's also a lot of use of emotions. So psychology is everywhere. Psychology is not arts. I'll tell you, psychology is actually science. But how you use it, how you apply it, you can't do a clerical job when it comes to psychology. A lot of people say that, there are some questionnaires that you fill in and will understand your mental state. It doesn't work like that. I always tell my students that if you want to understand psychology, think like an artist. If you see paintings, okay, right now I'm seeing this painting. If you see paintings, you will see a lot of use of emotions and the display of it. And then there's something known as projection. कि आपके दिमाग में जो चल रहा है वो आप वो पेंटिंग में देख रहे हो. So what you see will be completely different to what I will see.
The perspectives would be different.
Yes. So that is psychology. So if you want to understand psychology, if you want to use psychology, if you want to learn psychology, then it comes in arts. But the crux of psychology, the core of psychology is science. And also, just for everyone to understand, psychology is also part of commerce. But that's a different discipline. So psychology is basically everywhere, in each and every area of our life. When a mother conceives, there's psychology. Don't take stress. That will impact your baby. The baby's understanding towards the world comes from mother's womb. That's psychology. When the baby comes out, what suppose unfortunately if baby has any issues, then it reflects into his future behavior. That's psychology. That's a part of health psychology. So psychology is everywhere.
So basically a human, if we put it this way, so any human who has a brain, who has thoughts and emotions, everything is psychology. And I think while I'm talking to you, you just said that there is nothing definite or nothing defined in psychology. It's a perspective. So I just kind of, I kind of watch a lot of movies, but there's something which kind of just, clicked my mind when it comes to explaining psychology is that there is no, har ek tale ka chavi is different. So every person, what you look at, has a different solution to a problem. So it's not like a defined thing. So that's what is psychology. Okay. Now, with psychology, there is a big confusion, misconception, I would say, to a point where I think there is this blur lines about what are the majors which a student ideally goes or should be opting for and what exactly it offers. Okay. Secondly, how do they differ? So there are two parts of the question. The majors the students get, how it is different. Can you explain them in the real world scenario? So I'll name them. So you just let me know how exactly in a real world scenario it would be applicable. Okay. The first one, which is absolutely famous and a lot of them would be aware of, is clinical psychology, which again one of your specialty. So what exactly in real world clinical psychology means for a person who has no idea?
Okay. Clinical psychology mainly deals with pathology, which means abnormality. But to understand what is abnormal, we need to understand what is normal.
Okay.
Okay, then and then only we'll be able to differentiate between both. What is normal, what is abnormal. So if I just focus on a normal human being, I'll never know the abnormality. Or if I'll only focus on the abnormal behavior, I'll never know what is normal. So clinical psychology mainly focuses on pathologies which is known as abnormal behavior. Okay. Abnormal behavior means which is not in touch with reality.
Okay.
Which gives immense of stress to a person, which impacts their day-to-day living. That is abnormality. It's not in thoughts, it's in behavior, it's in emotions. So that is what is clinical psychology. But the beauty of clinical psychology is that clinical psychology is like a bigger umbrella thing.
Okay.
Because clinical psychology not only studies abnormality, it also studies normality. And the concept of normality will be applicable in other disciplines of psychology.
Okay.
So each and every field of psychology is interlinked.
Okay, now with this, I have another question. We spoke about clinical psychology, so we know that if you're looking at clinical psychology, a lot of people who don't know about psychology but definitely watches movies, we are getting into the zone of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Okay, where people have bipolar, schizophrenia. They know all these things because it's there. You can see them on the social media. Okay. Then, if clinical psychology is that, what would you call as a counseling psychology?
So counseling psychology comes from clinical psychology.
Okay.
As I mentioned, every field is interlinked with each other. So you cannot say ki, you will just study clinical and you will not know counseling. In clinical also you will know counseling. Or say for example, I take any other field like organizational psychology or industrial psychology. So if you want to even study industrial and organizational psychology, you need to understand clinical psychology. So every field in psychology is linked with one another. And that's why to have a good degree, like a master level degree, makes you proper in all these disciplines. Because if you have a master's degree, you need to understand the foundation of psychology. So when we talk about, for example, counseling psychology. Counseling psychology focuses main on the therapeutic aspects and the counseling aspects. That to what client, what patient, what consumer, what sort of a counseling methodologies can be applicable.
Okay.
So that's how counseling psychology works. But it comes from clinical psychology.
It comes from clinical psychology. Okay, clear. You just mentioned about, we were talking about the HR, organizational.
Yes.
Now my next is organizational psychology.
Yes. Organizational psychology, organization means a group.
Correct.
So if we decode it, it's a group. It's a lot of people working together. And then when we talk about a lot of people working together, we decode it in a way that a lot of different minds working together. The minds which comes from various experiences, various different traumas. Somebody's coping mechanism can be different than the other person's coping mechanism. So when we talk about organizational psychology, it brings us to a level where how the group can function together in a very peaceful manner. Or rather, let me keep it in a productive manner.
Okay.
Yeah. So how can different people function together in a productive manner? And that can bring the organization, the company, good benefits and good productions. So that's how organizational psychology functions.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Okay, this is something now, next one which I'm asking, that is something which is your specialty.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think because of the movies, we can be the third copy of psychologist, because that's what we know about psychology, which is forensic psychology.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks to all the murder mysteries I watched, so I know a little bit about them. But I think our audience requires some clarification. So, what is forensic psychology?
Forensic psychology means we understand the perpetrator's mind, that's the criminal's mind. Not only that, we understand the victim's mind, that why is somebody a victim.
Okay.
So, you might have heard about cybercrimes.
Right.
Cybercrimes do happen a lot, phone scam, OTP scams and all, that happens a lot with senior citizens.
Right.
Why are senior citizens the target? Why are they the victims? Because the perpetrators know that they may not have that much of good knowledge about OTPs or net banking and all those things. So why somebody is a victim? Let's even address cases like domestic violence. Why after so much of violence, so much of injustice, a lady still continues in that marriage? Or even these days, I would not just say that the domestic victims are only women. Majority ratio, yes, but there are men as well. Then why even after so much of cruelty or injustice, a man still continues to be in that relationship? So why is somebody a victim? It doesn't end there. It goes a little ahead. It talks about the justice system as well. That how the legalities are formed, why some laws are formed in certain way. Why is it so important to understand the term that is known as motive? Why somebody does something. So it talks about a lot of legal psychology aspects. We go ahead, we talk about police psychology, that how are police officers trained for investigation, how are they trained for interrogation. Interrogation is an art. There are methods of interrogation. So we in movies just see ki interrogation is third degree. No, interrogation comes with different methods. How to be a good cop and bad cop.
Oh my God, that's where the parenting also comes from.
So see, everything is linked. Everything is linked. So have to get a confession out. What strategies, what psychological methodologies you can use. Going ahead, we talk about penology, which means study of prison. Once the justice delivers and whatever the punishment comes out, whatever the court order comes out, the person goes to jail, the perpetrator goes to jail, the accused goes to jail. And after that, what is this setting? Because jail is a structure. It's an organization. So there are hierarchies, there are gangs already, there is some leader already. So how will they adjust to it? What is the rehabilitation area of it? And of course, investigation is a form. If you're not able to understand that, who has done it, then how will you investigate it psychologically? What are those psychological clues left behind? So forensic psychology is actually everything that I just mentioned, and maybe beyond that as well. But yes.
Interesting. And when we talk about sports, is it something or everything related to what a sports person goes through? Thought or...
It also talks about group dynamics. Why a group should function together to get a better result, to win, to make their team proud. So it talks a lot about team behavior. And when we talk about team behavior, we talk a lot about social psychology.
Right.
So sports psychology covers all those areas. That, what are the incentives that a sportsman should get? Not only that, but how a management should deal with the sportsman, and what are the motivational techniques that they can use. Because it is also very important that how they deal with failure. What motivates them back to get on the pitch and to fight back or to play the sport and accept their failure happily with a true sportsmanship. So that sportsman spirit, to get that sportsman spirit, विच रहे कि अरे याच्यात तर खूप छान ना, इसमें sportsman spirit बहुत अच्छी है, but वो कैसे आई? It comes with a lot of failure, acceptance of failure, and then trusting yourself again. That's sports psychology.
Lovely. And when we talk about educational psychology. Are we referring here, because we know with what you're telling me, I'm kind of getting my head around this. So the schools having counselors, is that a part of an educational psychology?
Yes,
I'm getting there, right? Yeah, I'm a good learner.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we talk about consumer psychology,
But sorry, if we talk about educational psychology, it's not only about schools having counselors, it's also about curricular design.
okay,
That in what age, what should be those activities, or how that particular subject should be taught, where students as learners can understand. I'll give you an example. Uh, if I watch a tutorial, okay, of something which is written, okay, and you might like to read a book on that, okay. So by reading that book, you will understand that idea much better. But I want to watch a tutorial, okay, and I'll get an idea better, okay. I don't want to read it. I don't want to waste my time reading. So there are different types of learners. So curriculum design actually, as a part of educational psychology, takes care of this aspect, that how one subject could be taught in different ways.
how we can cater everyone.
Yes, so that the idea has gone to students, because everyone, they have different level of IQs, and different people. I mean, somebody is great with musical IQ, somebody is great with mathematical IQ. That doesn't mean that the one who has great musical IQ is less with any other form of IQs. So to understand that, it comes curriculum designing. And there also educational psychologists or school psychologists take part. To deal with parents. Parenting is also a part in educational psychology. To deal with teachers, because sometimes teachers themselves, they're human beings, they're frustrated with their own things. So how can a teacher come in class and be neutral and then deal with students? So that's educational psychology.
Very interesting. And what we were talking about next is the consumer psychology. I mean, I think I understand that. Okay, me and my shopping patterns. I very well now have understood that if somebody who doesn't know, possibly they can watch a movie, Confessions of a Shopaholic. Okay, and you would know what exactly consumer psychology means. But it is what I have understood is basically a buying pattern of a consumer. Okay, a lot of factors attached to it, but as a consumer, how I look at and how I think of consuming anything, that comes as consumer psychology.
Yes.
Is it right?
It's right.
Amazing. I'm
To
good.
add more to it again. A lot many things, like deals like 99 only.
Right.
But
The
we
Bata
end
rate.
we end up paying 100. Okay, and then you're like, 99, let me buy 2.
Correct.
Okay.
I am guilty of that.
999 only. Okay, right now I was coming and I saw this, I don't know if I can quote this Imagica.
Oh, yeah.
So they have written like something for 50,000, we are offering it in 1,500. Something like that. I'm not very clear with the numbers. But what is that? That is part of consumer psychology. Advertising, anchoring effect. And consumer psychology is also an extended part of organizational psychology. That how can companies work towards getting their clients more? How can they, have those strategies? So this is psychology again, that where your mind can get stuck. What colors can be used? If there was a very small thing, you can also do it. Go in some supermarket and just see how, go to the biscuit section and how the biscuits are placed. That's one thing that is a part of consumer psychology.
Oh my God.
See that they will write 9 rupees only, 9.99 rupees only. You end up paying 10 rupees, okay. But then when you pick up the packet of that biscuit, it turns out to be 20. And then they say it was not available. But then you're like, okay, fine, I'll buy it. It's okay. That's psychology.
And the up to sale.
Up to sale, yeah.
You open your Instagram and then you know that there's 70% return, but uske upar ka up to dikhta hi nahi hai. Yeah, that's consumer psychology.
To बहुत छोटा लिखा हुआ होता है.
We don't bother. I mean, I don't bother with that up to. Very scary. But something which now I cannot get an understanding of. I don't know what is written here, which is neuropsychology. What is that?
Neuropsychology basically talks more about your brain patterns, your brain getting impacted in a way where your behavior is reflected. And when we talk about brain, again, the use of brain is everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is something known as neuromarketing.
Okay.
There is something known as neuroconsumerism. That what is shown to you more in terms of colors or whatever, where your brain gets stuck to it. And your brain feels that this is a better thing to do, get or to do. Okay. Like for example, something known as green flag, red flag.
Yeah.
It's a color that indicates. But that color is so stuck in your brain that your brain tends to function like that. So that is neuropsychology. What areas of your brain works which ways, and how those areas could actually be trained to do certain things, and how again, going back to the mixture of both neuromarketing and neuropsychology, how that can be merged together, and how can you get your clients attracted to that one particular symbol. Like I'll tell you something very chota sa, like Reebok and Rebook. Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually a form of neuromarketing.
Oh.
First copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get a first copy bag,
Yeah.
okay, and then they write, Michael Kors or something,
Yeah.
okay, and you feel the texture, your first thing is like, oh wow, I'm getting a Michael Kors bag which is like 50,000 and only 3,000 rupees.
Yeah.
3,000 is still a lot.
Yeah.
It's still a lot,
Absolutely.
but that's how your brain adapts.
tricks into.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's something which I've not really kept in my list,
Yeah.
okay, when I sent you the questions, Dr. More. But I genuinely want to understand, because it's there in your specialty, which is parapsychology.
Yeah.
What is parapsychology? In fact, I'm listening this for the first time.
Yeah. So parapsychology, let me first tell you, it's a great field to study. It's still an unexplored field. These other fields that we talked about, we have a lot of scientific backing to it.
Okay.
When we talk about parapsychology, there are many experiments that have been conducted in past, but there is again no pattern that is always registered. Okay. In these other fields, as we discussed, there is a pattern that we see always. But in the field of parapsychology, there is no pattern. But that doesn't mean that it is any less or something. But parapsychology mainly focuses on something known as sixth sense. We function with our five senses. That's the basic that we all know. That is eyes, and that is tongue, and that is smell, and that is ears, and the tactile functioning. But parapsychology works on our sixth function, which is the sixth sense, the sixth perception.
Intuition?
Yes, that is known as the extrasensory perception. We have intuitions in that, and it actually happens with everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. If something bad is going to happen, you do feel that something is not. You sense it, okay? And I'm sure the ones who are listening to us, they will be able to relate to it. That if I even just generally ask that, ऐसा कभी हुआ है क्या कि कुछ बुरा होने से पहले आपको पता चलता है? I'll tell you, a lot of people will say yes, पता चलता है. So see, now here there is a pattern. Like out of say 100 listeners and viewers, if 90% of them are saying कि हाँ पता तो चलता है, ठीक है, और यही चीज मैंने ड्रीम में भी देखा था और ऐसे ही हुआ, ठीक है. There is a concept known as Déjà vu.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
A lot of people experience it. You feel that I have lived this moment.
This has happened with me.
Yeah, and you feel it so real. All those things are studied in parapsychology. And it is said that our brain, okay, again going back to neuroscience, neuropsychology, our brain has that some, okay, understand with this phenomena, okay, this is something that I used to explain people. ऐसा कभी कभी होता है आपके साथ कि मान लो कोई पुराना फोन है नोकिया का, ठीक है, एंड आपने उसमें सिम डाला, ठीक है, तो एंड यू जस्ट ट्राई इट, ओके. आई आल्सो टेल द लिसनर्स एंड व्यूअर्स कि ट्राई दिस, ओके. पुराना कोई ओल्ड फोन लेके आओ, उसमें आपका सिम एग्जिस्टिंग डालो, वो चलेगा थोड़े टाइम तक, ठीक है, फिर बंद भी हो जाएगा, एंड कभी कभी सडनली थोड़े टाइम के लिए चलेगा. ठीक है, तो वो एक प्रिंसिपल है. Let me apply the same principle with our brain. I think there is a small SIM card or a chip in our brain. Okay, hypothetically, a small SIM card or a chip in our brain. Okay, which sometimes is very active and sometimes is not. Okay, it is active mostly with those people who may practice meditation or mindfulness, or may reach to a level of self-actualization. Okay, or who actually has a lot of good brain activity. So it is much more functional with them, and they get a good sense of what is going to happen, what must have happened in past, what must have happened in at some place. Like some people have that ability to sense, like if I walk into this, suppose this is a castle, I walk into this castle and then they say that, oh, yahan pe na some death has happened, or somebody, yeah, this is very spooky. So they have that intuition. So that means that some chip in the brain which is not it is not explode, yeah, it's activated and they get to know about it. It is not explode yet. Okay, it's not. There are so many scientists, so many big level scholars who are still working on that. I'm though at a very niche level, but and there are no answers yet. There is again no pattern, there is no answer. But that doesn't mean that this field does not exist, because if I talk about intuitions, a lot of people will say, yeah,
Nobody would deny that clearly. And this is a very interesting field, and you have done a specialty in this one.
Yes, thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Honestly, I wanted to understand psychology, and this particular section, I was actually listening like a baby. Okay, I was so much interested, and it's so nice. I am just hoping that my parents and the students and the parents and whoever is listening this, they get a clarity about what psychology is and what exactly the specialty is going to get them. Okay,